All right, guys, thanks for that. And we've got our next guest on the way, welcoming on John Gallagher, a Washington correspondent, to talk a little bit about what's going on with the updates to harvest haulers. And John, thank you for being here. Of course, there's an exemption that exists for drivers who are 18 to 20 years old to be allowed to cross state lines if they are hauling harvested goods. Can you talk a little bit about this exemption and how it's looking like it's here to stay?
Yeah, well, I guess it remains to be seen if it's here to stay, because the renewal was less than this one group of harvesters, custom harvesters, was asking for. But so the group that asked for this this extension of an exemption that was given to them back in 2018, they're called U.S. Custom Harvesters. There's about 400 or so member companies, and they typically, each of these member companies typically has about 3 crew members, 3-person crews that go across the country as the harvest rolls out to work the farms. And they not only perform the work, but they're moving this machinery and living quarters and other things across the country with them. So they need. So they when they ask for this exemption to the 18-20-year-olds, the problem is these younger drivers, which they have, they typically, when they apply for a CDL, they get because they're younger, when they get their CDL in their home state, it's a K designation, which is an intra-state license, and so it bars them from hauling out of state. Well, the actual law that went into effect, I believe back in 1972, it already has an exception carve out for these types of drivers. But the problem is when the state police see the K designation on these younger drivers' license, they're not acknowledging the fact that there's already this exception in the law for these types of drivers. So they're pulling them over, they're parking they're making them park their truck, they're going through all these other inspections. And once they pull them over for this, they get dinged a lot with a safety violation. So that not only hurts the driver, but it hurts their company too. So this is the whole reason why they had to, even though there's this carve out, this group applied for an exemption just to kind of reiterate to these police officers that this makes it easier, or it makes it easier for the police officer to see, oh, okay, now we have this exemption on top of this, which allows them to now work. But like I said before, they were asking for another 5-year renewal, but the FMCSA only gave them a 2-year provisional renewal, which sort of they wanted to leave the door open to see what happened over those 5 years. They tried to they were having miscommunication, or that's how the FMCSA said, on, getting the data on these younger drivers, their safety records and the crash records. How did they perform over these last 5 years? And they weren't satisfied with the data that they got. So that's why they gave them a 2-year provisional. And they're asking people to comment, is there data showing that we shouldn't be giving them this? And that would take away the provisional. But I think with the FMCSA, they sort of hinted at this in the ruling, that they want this data to help them support the pilot, this under 18 to 20 year old pilot program. They didn't say this in it, but I'm guessing that's sort of what they want here. They're looking, they want as much data as they can to try to get this other thing off the ground. Again, this is just my speculation, but they're always looking for data to support these proposals that they're putting out there, so that they can actually roll them out.
Yeah,
but yeah, and I just want to say, but anyway, this is hugely important to this company, because they need these younger drivers for these jobs, because these are jobs that you're moving from state to state, and it's hard to get people. A lot of older drivers have family commitments or whatever at home, and so these younger drivers are the ones that they need to actually harvest these farms.
Yeah, you were headed right down the road I was going in, because it looks like this opens up, or if it hasn't already been opened, a slightly bit of a Pandora's box in terms of obviously allowing 18 to 20-year-olds to drive under these certain restrictions. across state lines would give not only the FMCSA but also other organizations that want to see 18 to 20-year-olds be able to drive behind the wheel across state lines, get that there as well. So I would have to imagine that this has got more eyes on it than just the FMCSA.
Yeah, exactly. Because the ATA. This is sort of this younger driver thing is sort of a little controversial in the trucking industry. But ATA, for example, they're a huge supporter of it. They want more different pools of drivers to come into the industry. So and they're also ATA has pushed this pilot program that FMCSA has in place has not really gotten off the ground, and ATA's take on it is the reason is because they've tied too many hurdles to it in the pilot program, notably the requirement that anyone participating in the pilot program, the trucks have to have inward-facing cameras, and also to participate in the pilot program, you have to be also a registered user of the Department of Labor's new apprentice program. And ATA is saying when you tie these hurdles onto this, it's keeping people from going in. So they're supporting a bill in Congress, which is actually already attached to a funding bill that's takes away those restrictions for the pilot program to help it kind of get off the ground.
Gotcha. We've got about a minute left here, John. As you look at this, obviously, with the chance of 18 to 20-year-olds having this opportunity to move forward, you mentioned in the article that it is just a provisional exemption just for the next 2 years. That is simply based on how these drivers do, or can they at some point say, look, we're having too many wrecks or too many safety violations, we're just going to cut it off immediately?
Yeah, I think that sort of leaves a door open for people to comment. There's a comment period attached to this. So if anyone comes in with data showing that these younger drivers are unsafe, we can take this away. And alternately, if data showing that safety isn't harmed at all. In fact, that maybe they have less crashes than intrastate 18 to 20-year-old drivers. So yeah, the FMCSA left that open to get more data to support or not support this. And I talked yesterday with this group, U.S. Custom Harvesters. They were sounding a little disappointed that they didn't get the 5-year, but they're going to hopefully keep in touch with FMCSA and get data to show that these drivers are just as safe.
And it's really interesting, too, because obviously this really only affects the 18 to 19-year-olds, because once you've done it for 2 years, then you're obviously 21 and you can get your CDL legally. John, thanks so much for joining us.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
All right, let's move back over to weather and another check of that with our Kaylee Nix.